As I'm sure many of you know, the way survival Minecraft worlds are being played has changed quite a bit over the past few years. I mean, when you think back to older versions of the game, Minecraft has always been about chilling with your friends, building a few houses, and just exploring random features of the game. For example, back when slime blocks first came out, I specifically remember me and my friend making a basketball hoop on our survival world. It was completely useless and loud as hell, but it was cool. Nowadays though, I feel like a lot of players are just falling into the same loop of rushing an elytra, building a million farms, and creating some enormous mega base. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with playing like that. If that's what you enjoy doing, go right ahead. But when everyone begins playing the game like that, a lot of items and features that I and many others enjoy exploring in survival mode get shit on just because they don't directly influence progression. So, in this video, I want to go over some more useless Minecraft features that I think are pretty cool. If you saw my last video, you'll know that I already covered 8 of my personal favorites. However, there's still many others that I simply didn't have time to cover, so that's what this video is for. Anyways, without further ado, let's just get started. The first feature I want to talk about is the fox. Real quick, shout out to this dude in the comments for telling me about these guys, because there's a lot of depth here that I had no idea about. Foxes can spawn naturally in 2 different variants. You got the normal foxes, which spawn in taigas and mega taigas, and the snow foxes that spawn in snowy taigas and groves. Right away, I always love when mobs have rare variants like this. While the snow fox isn't super rare or anything, it's still definitely less common than the regular fox, so it's a pretty cool mob to collect. On top of having a different variant though, foxes easily have some of the most unique behavior in the entire game. Now, a lot of this stuff is just kinda ambient. They can sit, they can sleep, and they can pounce. There's a few things you can do with these, but for the most part, they just add some extra life to the mob. There's 2 things in specific about the fox, however, that really make it stand out. Firstly, trust. When you breed 2 adult foxes, the baby won't be afraid of you and will defend you when mobs attack you. Right now, this just looks like a shittier version of taming, and that's because it is. But it kinda goes hand in hand with the next thing I want to discuss. Foxes, similar to zombies, are able to pick up items. They have a 20% chance to spawn naturally with one of the following items, but all of these are lame. Where foxes really shine is in the items you can give them. There are so many things foxes can do with items. They can eat golden apples, they can eat chorus fruit, they can use totems of undying. You can give them a looting sword and have them kill passive mobs like chickens and rabbits for extra stuff. Their pounce gives enough height for them to use a mace. They can use a knockback 100 stick and repel anything that attacks you. You can pull up on an op with 20 foxes all equipped with maxed out netherite swords and watch them immediately disintegrate anything or anyone that touches you.
What the hell are you doing? What the fuck?
So yeah, although you can't tame foxes, does it really matter? The trust mechanic and every other aspect of the fox's behavior suits the mob very well in my opinion, and overall makes it feel very complete. Foxes are awesome. They're super fun to mess around with, and I honestly wouldn't change a thing about them. Except for maybe how they prioritize food items. Like, bro, why are you dropping my maxed out netherite sword for a slab of raw chicken? The next feature I want to discuss is the frog. If I'm being completely honest, the frog is probably the most forgettable mob in the entire game. But that doesn't mean he can't bring anything interesting to the table. Frogs have 3 different variants. You got the temperate frog, which spawns naturally in swamps, the warm frog, which spawns in mangrove swamps, and the cold frog, which just doesn't spawn naturally. I'll get back to this guy in a moment. Anyways, the main feature surrounding the frogs is their ability to create froglights. When a frog eats a baby magma cube, it shits out 1 of 3 froglights, depending on its color. Besides the fact that literally no one would be able to figure this out on their own, the froglights are pretty cool blocks. There really aren't many full light blocks in this game, so having a kind of organic looking one like this is nice. In order to get all 3 colors though, you'll need to actually obtain all 3 frog variants, which is where tadpoles come in. When you breed 2 frogs, instead of creating a baby like other animals would, 1 frog will lay eggs known as frog spawn on the surface of a nearby water source. The frog spawn then hatches into 2 to 5 tadpoles, which can be picked up and moved to the bucket. Unlike other mobs whose color is based on their parents' color, frog color is based purely on where they grow up as tadpoles. If they grow up in a temperate biome, they become temperate frogs. If they grow up in a warm biome, they become warm frogs. And of course, if they grow up in a cold biome, they become cold frogs. To me, all of this is honestly really cool. It's a very different and interesting process to collect all 3 frog variants, and having the variants actually do something in the form of the different frog lights is a nice bonus. So, although frogs really do not add much to this game, they still seem like a very well thought out mechanic, and overall, just a fun side quest for people who want to collect some cool blocks. Moving on, the next thing I want to talk about is a weapon actually, the crossbow. Now, on its own, the crossbow is decent. It's an alright ranged weapon that can kill most mobs in 2 to 3 shots. But let's just get this out the way. The crossbow is completely outclassed by the bow. It's not even a competition. Bows don't need to be fully charged all the time, they're easier to get, and their enchantments are significantly better than honestly most enchantments across the game as a whole. Especially the crossbow's enchantments. I'm not here to just talk about bows the whole time though. Crossbows, while not nearly as good as regular bows, still have some cool interactions with things, and honestly, they're pretty underutilized. Crossbows can be obtained in many different ways. You can craft them, they can be dropped from piglins and pillagers, you can trade for them, or you can find them as loot in pillager outposts, bastion remnants, and trial chambers. Right away, I like how crossbows are fairly prevalent throughout the game. More often than not when I use a crossbow, it's usually just like, well shit, I got an iron sword and this guy happened to drop a crossbow. I guess I'll use it. Also, I don't know why, but I just like the crafting recipe as well. It's kinda cool. Anyways, let's get into the real saucy stuff here. The enchantments. Crossbows have 3 unique enchantments. You got Quick Charge, Piercing, and Multi-Shot, with the latter 2 being mutually exclusive. Starting with Quick Charge, this decreases the time to load the crossbow. It goes up to level 5, which allows the crossbow to shoot crazy fast. Nah, I'm just kidding. That would make it good. It just goes up to level 3. The second enchantment is Piercing. For each level of piercing a crossbow has, the arrow it shoots can penetrate 1 additional target. If I'm being real, both of these enchantments are kinda underwhelming. Like, Quick Charge is at least important, but Piercing deadass just sucks. You will never be in a situation where, oh shit, 5 zombies are slowly chasing after me in a single file line. Good thing I got my piercing crossbow. That doesn't happen. Piercing is a cool idea. It does help differentiate the crossbow from the bow, but it just doesn't work in a 3-dimensional game. That being said though, I'm still taking piercing over the last enchantment I gotta cover, Multi-Shot. Multi-Shot makes the crossbow shoot 2 extra arrows in a 10-degree spread from the center. Okay, with piercing, maybe you won't get 5 enemies in a line all the time, but you'll probably be able to hit like 2 or 3 sometimes. With Multi-Shot, however, you will never, ever be in a situation where 3 mobs are evenly spaced 10 degrees apart. Now you might be thinking, okay, well what about using it like a shotgun? Because mobs and players in Minecraft have brief invincibility after you hit them, this will never work. But one last thing. As if Multi-Shot wasn't dog shit enough, it takes 3 times the durability to use. This to me is just stupid. Even if Multi-Shot was actually good, I hate mechanics like this that are just inconvenient. With things like mending in the game, it's really not that big of a deal, but there's simply no reason for it. Anyways, I know I've been going on about crossbows for a while, but there's still one more thing I'd like to cover. Crossbows can shoot fireworks. This is the main redeeming quality of the crossbow. Shooting fireworks at things is fun. Shooting fireworks with Multi-Shot is fun. And best of all, shooting fireworks is even a little practical. With 7 firework stars, I found that fireworks launched could do about 7 hearts of damage. Now online, I see a lot of people saying they do 9 hearts of damage and you can shotgun 1 target using Multi-Shot, but honestly, I couldn't replicate this at all, so I'm gonna have to call that shit cap. Anyways, conclusion, crossbows when used with arrows are kinda just a worse bow. With fireworks, however, they're honestly a really cool weapon. It's a good area of effect option, it's colorful, it's fun, but the catch is that the fireworks take 3 durability to shoot. And yes, that stacks with Multi-Shot. Besides that though, even if the crossbow isn't super powerful, I still enjoy using it when I get the chance. Okay, that was a lot to get through, but it's time to move on to the next topic, armor trims. Armor trims are probably the most beloved feature Mojang has added in recent times, and it makes sense why. There are 18 different types of armor trims, all of which can be found in random structures scattered throughout the world. I'm not gonna have time to go through all 18 of these, so if you're interested, here's a big ass table from the wiki detailing everything. Anyways, once you find an armor trim, you can then combine it with any piece of armor in one of 10 different materials to get a decorated piece of armor. This is a super sick idea. It's so simple, but just look how many completely unique pieces of armor there are as a result. Even better, all of these different armor pieces can be mixed and matched to make for literally tens of thousands of different combinations. A couple of my favorites are any netherite trim, black and purple leather armor with redstone and gold looks so sick, diamond with gold trimming is pretty nice, and you can even become a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
No problem solved.
Lena! The Lena Blue! Having all this customization is great, and because there's so many types, collecting all the armor trims would be a fun challenge. But there's still one thing about armor trims that I don't love: the duplication cost. Rather than search a million structures to get multiple of the same armor trim, you can instead put the trim in a crafting table with a corresponding block and 7 diamonds to duplicate it. This should not be so expensive in my opinion. Now, I totally understand if you have a world that's like super stacked, full netherite, whatever. 7 diamonds, or 21 if you want to get 4 trims, is not that hard to come by. Also, once you get full netherite and tools, I'm aware diamonds start to run out of uses at that point. For me though, I just play survival mode casually with my friends. Going out and mining 21 diamonds is boring. If I'm being honest, this duplication recipe just seems like a lazy idea. I have no idea how they would change duplication, so I can't give Mojang too much flack for this, but at the very least, I would lower the price to like 4 diamonds and some gold or something. Overall, armor trims are definitely a cool idea. There's really not too much depth here, like you're just putting a design on some armor, but there doesn't need to be. They're fun to mess around with, fun to collect. I just think they should probably be a little cheaper to duplicate. Next up, I want to cover something that isn't necessarily beloved by the community. Llamas. Llamas spawn naturally in 4 colors. You got the brown and cream colored llamas which spawn in savannas, and the white and gray llamas which spawn in windswept hills. You also got the trader llama, but no one really cares about them outside of the free leads, so I'm not going to talk about them. Plus they're ugly.
Bruh.
Llamas can be tamed just like a horse, after which they can be equipped with 2 items, chests and carpets. Before I get into that stuff though, let's address the elephant in the room here. No, llamas can't use saddles, and thus cannot be controlled. I'll talk more about this shortly, but yeah, it's a shame. Anyways, let's start with the main purpose of llamas, chests. When you equip a llama with a chest, the llama will be able to store between 3 and 15 item slots, depending on its strength stat. Strength is a stat specific to llamas. It ranges between 1 and 5, with each point representing 3 inventory slots a llama can carry. At first glance, this seems like a decent idea. I mean, no one wants to be stuck with a 3-slot llama, so it gives the player some motivation to try and find the best llamas. And then you look at the odds. 12 and 15 slot llamas have a 0.8% chance to spawn naturally, with breeding odds not being much better. These are unironically some of the rarest mobs in the game, and all they do is give you a reasonable amount of storage. Remember when I said I hate when things are inconvenient for no reason? This is that. Strength should just be a 20% spread across the board. Back to the point though, you may be wondering why anyone would carry around a single 9-slot llama when mules could do the same, just better. This is where caravans come in. When a llama is attached to a lead, a maximum of 9 other llamas around you will follow you. With a max caravan of 9-slot llamas, you can effectively carry around to 90 inventory slots worth of storage. This is obviously pretty fun to do, and 90 slots isn't too bad either. But I can't help but think caravans could have been so much better. If 12 and 15 slot llamas weren't a myth, 150 slots would genuinely be good. Also, why can't you just ride the leading llama? As soon as you hit a hill with a 10 llama caravan, the lead is almost guaranteed to break. Just imagine how nice it would be if you could just ride the front llama with a saddle and all the other guys would follow you. Not only would this be awesome, but it would also be so much more effective at actually moving the caravan around your world. Llamas would still be completely outclassed by shulker boxes, but at least they would be functional. Right now, they're just kind of a hassle. Alright, the last thing I want to talk about with llamas is carpets. You can equip a llama with any of the 16 different carpets, with each providing a completely unique design. This is probably the best part of llamas in my opinion. Mojang easily could have just copy and pasted the same design just in different colors, but they didn't, and as a result, these designs really help make llamas stand out in my opinion. You got the creeper llama, the rapper, he's supposed to be Egyptian, the burglar llama, they're all great. There really isn't much else to say about carpets. It's a mechanic completely unique to llamas, and I think it's a lot of fun to try and get all 16. So yeah man, llamas are pretty cool, especially the carpet designs, but they need a slight rework in my opinion. I understand most people do not give a shit about llamas, but there's a few super simple changes that I think would immediately make them more appealing. Make strength a 20% chance across all values, allow saddles to be equipped in place of carpets, and allow caravans to follow saddled llamas. I'm by no means a game dev or anything, but I can't imagine these changes would be that difficult to implement, and I think it would just be an easy way to make llamas so much more fun and interesting. Okay, that was quite a bit of talk about llamas, but finally, the last feature I want to cover in this video is the mob heads. Currently, there are 6 different mob heads found in survival mode, and they can all be obtained in pretty much the same way with a few exceptions. The zombie, skeleton, wither skeleton, creeper, and piglin heads can all be obtained by blowing up their respective mobs with a charged creeper. The skeleton skull can also be found as a decoration in ancient cities. The wither skeleton skull simply drops from wither skeletons at a low rate as well. And lastly, the dragon head can only be found at the front of end ships in end cities. The mob heads have 2 functional uses. You can put them on your head, and whatever head you wear will reduce the detection radius from the same mob by 50%. And you can do this. But let's be honest, the main reason to get the mob heads is because they're awesome. The whole charged creeper idea has always been such an interesting concept to me. It is so unbelievably rare for natural lightning to strike a creeper, and back in the day, these items may as well have been exclusive to creative mode. Nowadays though, with the addition of a few new mechanics, mob heads have simply become a cool collectible to go out and get. There are 2 reliable ways that I know of in which you can get lightning to strike a creeper. Firstly, you can hit a creeper with a channeling trident during a thunderstorm. For most people, this is probably the easiest way, but I know on Java Edition tridents can be pretty rare, so in that case, you may want to use the other option, lightning rods. If you box up a creeper, give him a name tag so he doesn't despawn, and place a lightning rod next to him, eventually during a thunderstorm, he will be struck by lightning. All you need to do from there is find a mob and blow it up. To me, the mob heads are some of my favorite collectible items in the game. Not only is striking a creeper with lightning and blowing up a mob just a super fun, unique process, but also, the mob heads are just very nostalgic to me. I remember back when I played on Xbox 360, me and my friend used to always play on the TU12 tutorial world, and this specific room with the mob heads just always stood out to me as being really cool. So yeah, I obviously love these things. I hope they continue to be a fun and rare item to go out and collect, and I hope Mojang adds more stuff like this in the future. With all that being said though, I believe I'm going to call the video here. Genuinely, useless features like these are some of the only reasons I continue playing Minecraft after so many years. More often than not, the most memorable experiences I have on my worlds involve collecting or messing around with some dumb useless feature. I understand it can kind of feel like a slap in the face to the super mechanical and farmy players of the game when Mojang adds another useless mob like the frog. But honestly, if Mojang always adds stuff to boost or expand progression, the game would become super linear. The depth useless and semi-useless features add to this game is probably why it's still alive after 15 years. So although Mojang should still try and add some useful mechanics every update, I don't see anything wrong with them adding stuff like the frog from time to time. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me, man. I hope you all appreciated what I had to say, and feel free to leave your thoughts on this video in the comments. I'm aware not everyone is gonna agree with what I think is useless or cool, so it can be interesting to see some other people's perspectives. Other than that though, thank you all so much for watching. More Terraria and Minecraft videos coming soon, and I'll see you all in the next one.